Arizona State alum to Arizona alum here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios. Kenzie Fowler Quinn, softball analyst for ESPN and Athletes Unlimited Softball League, joins us now in the program because the Big 12 softball tournament gets started today. Hey, Kenzie, what's up?
Nothing much. Just we got a lot of softball on TV, and obviously the Big 12 kicks off today, so I'm in a great mood. So thanks for having me.
We've got 4 matchups today. Which of the 4 is the most intriguing to you and why?
Oh man. Obviously the easy answer. You guys know what my easy answer is. My easy answer is Arizona State, because of the rivalry. And I love the fact that they are the closer today. It's going to be the late night game, so you have that like late night drama, which just adds a little element. That is the easy answer. Maybe the non-obvious answer would be UCF Kansas, just because those teams I think are very evenly matched. And Kansas kind of needs a win. I think that they're around, where they need to be. Kansas has definitely been the breakout team in the conference this season, but a win against UCF would be in their best interest this morning. And UCF is solidly in the tournament. RPI very low 20s. Like they do not need this win. Kansas needs this win. So that's kind of what I'm drawn to this morning.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you thought both UCF and Kansas were in regardless of the outcome. Do you think if Kansas wins here, they're a 3 seed? Like, give us a sense here of where both of these teams are, and certainly would help, I would imagine, UCF's seed line if they won.
Yeah, I need to pull up the RPI, and I will do that as I'm talking. So Kansas right now, as of yesterday, is RPI of 40. You need it to be in the 30s. You need it to, and they can get some help with maybe some other movement, with teams that maybe they've beat or who they've had on their schedule. It's crazy, you guys, how much movement can happen in one day with all of these games going on in the RPI. But you want that RPI to be like mid 30s to low 30s to feel good. UCF is in. UCF, like they don't even have to show up today. They will be in the NCAA tournament, probably be a 2 seed somewhere, and they'll be in that top 32, which is also new for our sport this season. The NCAA will be ranking 1 through 32 and seeding those teams and kind of sending those 32 seeds out without the geographic, barriers that we have seen in years past, where maybe UCF would be restricted to only going to a Florida State or a Florida, which is very boring. And you want to see, a different region and play maybe some games that you haven't played in your schedule already. But Kansas, they just need a win. Like win today, and then like you'll be good. Like just get a win.
So is that the only change that's different when it comes to the bracket and the postseason, is the geographical aspect, or what else is different in terms of how these teams are seeded?
Yep, that's it. So the NCAA has that 400-mile radius, if you will, that they take into consideration for sending you to your regional site. And so this season, and they said that they're not letting go of that. Like they'll still be using that 400-mile radius as like a guiding light, if you will, for the seating, because there are budget restrictions and all the things that they have said. But like, for example, a Grand Canyon, which is a mid-major over here on the West Coast, they right now are in that 1 through 32 seed. And so for the years past, I've covered Grand Canyon. They've gone to the Arizona Regional. They've gone to the UCLA Regional like 3 years in a row. So now this gives a team like Grand Canyon the flexibility and the ability to go across the country to maybe a Florida or to an Alabama, just go somewhere out of the West Coast Regional. And so that's kind of what I see for UCF. I see UCF staying in that 32 spot, getting out of Florida, which is huge. If you ask UCF, they don't want to have to go to Florida again. They don't want to have to go to Florida State. They have been in that regional time and time again. So let's get UCF out of Florida, go shake some things up, go make some noise in a different part of the country.
Your alma mater, Arizona, has been, a dominant force in softball. Give us a sense here of Arizona in the Big 12. Obviously with Texas Tech, it's a totally new dynamic. It's just really interesting to look kind of like Arizona historically one of the great softball programs ever, and Texas Tech is sort of on that track, I guess, with the last 2 years here.
Yeah, Texas Tech is like just all of a sudden that modern day, like this is how we're gonna win, coming out of absolutely nowhere. And all of a sudden the tables have flipped. Everyone in the nation is looking at Lubbock. What is Lubbock doing? They're winning. Everyone's now chasing Texas Tech. I'm kind of been interested in their storyline of what they feel internally in the clubhouse of the pressure that maybe could be on their program because there's been so much chatter the last couple of seasons in the softball world because of the shakeup that they've done to our softball world, right? Pouring in football and men's basketball like money into softball. And it resulted in a runner-up finish. You know, they were right there for a national championship a season ago. If they would have had Caitlin Terry in that champ series against Texas,
Yeah.
who knows? I would have,
Agreed.
it would have been very hard for me to bet against a healthy and more rested Nyjah Kennedy because we all watched that series and watched her physically get tired. Like she just gave it all she had, completely ran out of gas. I have been there before. You can't do it by yourself. You can be the best pitcher in the world, but it's just the volume of the World Series of 7 games in a week, it's too much. So you got to have a two. They have a two. They have a really good two. They have a three. Sam Lincoln is legit. Sam Lincoln would be an ace any other P4 school, and she's their three. So yeah, Texas Tech and kind of watching them take the Big 12, you know, and just grab it and say this is our conference now, and you're gonna have to go through us to win. They will absolutely be the favorite this weekend. And you know what's interesting about this weekend in Texas Tech is they need to win. They need to win this tournament if they want to solidify themselves in a top 8 seed. Right now, you look at the ESPN rankings, sitting pretty in a high ranking. You look at the RPI, they're a little low for how talented that we all know they are. And so it would be in their best interest. I'm looking at the RPI 12. 12.
Wow.
And you think about Texas Tech and the talent they have on that team, you would not think that RPI would be a 12. So they kind of need to win this tournament to solidify themselves in a top 8 seed. If they don't,
Great point.
they can still run it. Like they can go on the road. I think they'll be very comfortable. They're kind of built that way. I think they'll be fine. But you want to play at home. Let's be real. Like you want to stay at home. It's all the work that you've put in this whole season. If they're not a top 8 seed, I can just tell you that there will be a top 8 seed that will be very upset with having Texas Tech come in and match up with them in a potential super.
Yeah, why is Texas Tech's RPI so low? I mean, they're 50-5. Is it lack of non-conference schedule? Is it just the way they've beaten people? Why do you think it is where it is?
Yeah, there's a couple of losses in there that bring it down a little bit. Lost to Texas State. There was a marquee matchup in the middle of the season against Florida State that got canceled. That would have helped a lot. Florida State at the time had a huge, really good low RPI, if you will, so in the top 10. And I truly think that they kind of had a scheduling problem where people didn't want to play them. You know, you'll see that a lot in those top teams returning. You know, people are like, "No, we're good. No, we're good. We don't need to play you." And I think they had a little bit of that. So I think it's a combination of maybe a couple of losses, and then losing the Florida State series and just not having the strongest schedule.
You have any anecdotes or just memories from playing for one of the greats of all time in Mike Candrea at Arizona?
Oh man. I mean, I could tell you a lot about him. Like he's the most superstitious person you'll ever meet. Had Taco Bell for breakfast every single day.
No way.
Yeah, Taco Bell. We have a Taco Bell right on campus, and he just would stop there before he rolls into the office. So if you went to go see Coach early in the morning, he'd be like eating his Taco Bell, and we loved that. It's just funny because like in Tucson, we take so much pride in our Mexican food, and he loved Taco Bell. Which you know what? We're not gonna judge him. Taco Bell's great in the right time, right?
Right. But there's lots of other better options for sure.
There are better options. No shade, Taco Bell. You're good
Right.
in the moment. He loves the Yankees. You will not find a bigger Yankees fan. He has a room in his house that is like a Yankees Hall of Fame. It's his office, quote unquote, but it's just like wall to wall Yankees memorabilia that he's either collected over the years or people have given to him. So whenever I go to his house, I always like spend some time in there and I feel like I'm in a museum. And yeah, he was amazing to play for just because he was so even keeled all the time. He never got too high. I don't remember him like ever like cursing at us, which is crazy because, coaches, it's an emotional thing, right? He was just like so businesslike, like he would get on us. Don't you worry. He had his way. And we would be like sitting there. I remember being 18 and I'm so just like, oh my God, please don't be mad at me. And he's yelling and I'm like, please don't call my name. But he always kept it here and he always knew how to treat everyone. If you needed to kind of get that fire in your butt, he would light it into you. If you needed a pat on the back or a hug, he would do that as well. So he was just a master of knowing his team and the thing that coach I feel like taught me and taught all of us was how to be a professional and if you're going to be doing something, be the best at it. And things were always a certain way. You wore your uniform a certain way, you arrived at the ballpark a certain way, and there wasn't any punishment to that. It was just like you wanted to be like coach, and he was so successful for a reason. And it's why he has taught all of us, and we are the way that we are now. And as grown-ups, we're all professionals now, but I owe so much of who I am because of what he built.
James, let me just brag on Kenzie for a moment. In high school, between 2006 and 2009 at Canyon del Oro High School, she went 102-8, won 3 state championships, was named the Gatorade National Softball Player of the Year in both '08 and '09. In '09, your senior year, Kenzie allowed 1 earned run in 139 innings. That is a .04 ERA. And then went on, obviously, to have an incredible career at Arizona as well. So just an absolute legend joining us here on Big 12 Radio.
Oh, thank you. My sister was on the team. My sister and I played 2 years apart, and so she was on varsity with me for 2 years. And she always jokes that her senior year she got 1 ball. I don't know if that's true, but that's her always. She's like, "Yeah, I got 1 ball my senior year." Yep. So anyway,
That's amazing.
That's awesome. Kenzie, great stuff. Softball analyst for ESPN and AUSL. Kenzie Fowler Quinn, as we get geared up for the Big 12 softball tournament. Appreciate your time. Great stories. Taco Bell for life, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, and tune in this week. It's gonna be great softball.
Thanks, Kenzie.
We're on it. Kenzie Fowler Quinn, softball analyst for ESPN and the Athletes Unlimited Softball League, which is AUSL. She was a baller.
Yeah, and, James, softball is the sport where when I started on Big 12 Radio, I guess almost 8 years ago now, which is crazy, in October, Big 12 Radio will have been on 8 years, but 2 on TuneIn, and it's been a godsend to be on TuneIn now. It's like, softball? What? And, at that point, Oklahoma was a dominant force, Texas, Oklahoma State. Like, there were some good softball teams in the Big 12, and so I turned it on to watch the Big 12 tournament, and I've not stopped watching college softball since then. The games are short, they move quickly. Like, everything that sucks about baseball is great about softball. Like, there's no unwritten rules. They celebrate, they have fun, they enjoy playing. The games are quick, they move. There's lots of energy, there's lots of action. Like, I'm glad to have been introduced to softball through working in this capacity, but it's been a ride, and it's funny to think now, like, it was Oklahoma, Texas, and Oklahoma State, and now it's like, we're talking about Arizona, who's a dominant force under Mike Candrea, one of the winningest softball coaches ever. Texas Tech is on a course for who knows how many championships. Arizona, Oklahoma State is still really good. Kansas is emerging. UCF is emerging. So it's really interesting to see how much the dynamics of this conference have changed and made it a lot more competitive, a lot more interesting.
Well, and like Texas Tech, their run last year was must-see TV in the Women's College World Series. No doubt in my mind they'll be back. I don't care if they're a top 8 seed or not. And if they're not a top 8 seed, because their RPI is currently 12th, as Kenzie alluded to, would you want to see them in your bracket?
Right.
Like, hey, congrats, consolation prize, you get Texas Tech.
Yeah. Who has 3 legitimate number 1 starters. Softball is all about having a really dominant pitcher. If you have a dominant pitcher, you can go very far. And that's what happened with Tech last year. And then they added great offensive weapons to the mix. But they just haven't, for whatever reason, played as good, the majority of the year. Like, they haven't been as dominant as you expect them to be. So we'll see if they can pull that together now.
Yeah. All right, coming up next, we wrap up the show with the final whistle. He's Ari, I'm James. It's Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, powered by Modelo on a Three Things Thursday.